Welcome back to the Purple Menace podcast. Jeff Craig, Billy Wessels here for week 3 in a remote location somewhere in the outdoor regions.
It is out of doors. We are currently doorless where we are. There are no doors. I guess there is one door that get back into your house, but currently where we are is doorless.
Yeah, we're doing the back patio podcast today.
This is nice. I'm gonna be nice. I'm kind of jealous of your grill. I wish I had one like that for both my apartment and my mouth.
Well, you know, you grill. Yeah, you grill. What can you do?
Rat better than that, probably, but that wasn't bad, I guess. You got a nice swing.
It was not meant to be purposeful. Like, there's no beat or anything. I'm not.
Oh, clearly.
We're not in a studio.
No, we're at a back patio, as we just discussed.
Yes, back patio. So this week we're going to do a little more rundown of some things that have gone on in practice for those diehard people that want to know everything that happens in practice. We can't tell you everything, but we can tell you we were right about most of the things we talked about last week, which was who the cornerback leaders are, who the safety leaders are, the linebackers. My wife walking around naked.
Close.
She just rolled through. Billy's like, well, just saw Jeff's wife walk through in just panties.
Jeff's doing well. Jeff's living large.
Well, let me answer my phone and tell her that she's outside.
Is that your one?
Hello.
Hey, honey, there are guys in the backyard.
Yep. Billy just said I'm doing well. We're recording all this. This is all going into the podcast.
This is the best episode of any podcast. I
Okay.
listen to a lot of podcasts, too.
Love you, bye. She said don't look because she's streaking and she doesn't have cute underwear on.
Okay, cool. I'm not going to comment on anything. Let's go back to TCU football.
So, TCU football. Let's just jump straight into first down. Practice report.
Yep.
Linebackers, we were saying, looks like Mike Freeze, true freshman. We really like him.
Yep.
The reports going around is that he's very Tanner Brock-esque.
Yeah, that's what, GP kind of compared him to that mold last week, so it's not a surprise to hear that he's doing really well. And I think we kind of saw that in the spring game, got a glimpse of what he can be. It's just a matter of what he can do in the lights, and that's another thing we talked about a little bit. What can we do? What can we expect from him in the days ahead and in weeks ahead and hopefully years ahead as he continues to progress?
Exactly. And then, Ty Summers he was pretty good last year at fall camp, and then some injury bugs bit him. He's making a push right now. He and Sammy Douglas, I think they like that they've been able to move Summers around a little bit. He's playing a little bit at each position in the linebacker. So that adds a little wrinkle to the system. If you're Minnesota, it's just another guy you got to prepare for. Another physical, speedy guy out there on defense.
Big, fast linebacker. That'd be the fastest person in the entire state of Minnesota, probably. I feel like the entire TCU team is faster than anyone on Minnesota's team.
You're probably right.
I want to see Halapula Valley Vaitai, close enough, go up against whoever their running back's going to be.
Yes.
Big V against their running back. It would be a pretty interesting foot race, I feel like.
I'm still taking our guys.
That's what I'm saying. It'd be interesting.
Yeah, and then the defensive backs, Traven Howard, Denzel Johnson, still going at it. I don't think there's going to be a clear-cut winner at that position till camp is over at the end of next week.
Yeah, no point.
But Kenny Iloka looks like he's got the
princess just appeared.
Yeah.
Through the window.
That's the beauty of doing a podcast from your back patio.
Yeah.
Kenny Iloka's got the weak safety locked down, it looks like. So we assumed that was probably going to be the thing, but it looks like it's going to be Kenny
I like
Iloka.
when our prognostications come correct. Prognosticate.
Yeah, I mean, it makes us sound like we know what we're talking about.
Yeah, gives us some validity. So you're welcome, podcasters.
The little bit of validity we have.
We've earned it. We've earned every teeny tiny morsel of it that we have.
Yeah, well, TCU's made it easy on us, only having to really pick out like 3 positions.
It's true. I mean, you don't have to worry about the offense at all, basically, and then it's a handful of guys on defense, which we knew it would be interesting who's going to step in exactly, but you had a good idea who's going to be who coming into this thing. And
wide receivers, Deontay Gray's still coming back from injury, so he hasn't been out there running, but your other 3 starters from last year, Liston B, Doxson, Slanina, obviously they're out there. They're going to be doing the same thing. So, that's what we've got. Not a whole lot of changes offensively. Not a whole lot to report on the practice because, we don't get to see a whole lot of it. Yeah. And what we do get to see, you don't get to talk about because we don't want to give Minnesota or Baylor or Tech or anybody any kind of wrinkles that they're going to be out there doing.
There's no point in giving anyone an edge. This is a team that can win every game on its schedule. No point in giving anyone else any kind of boost they need. So,
but it's going to look good. Just be out, realize that everything you saw last year, expect more of the same. Just maybe at a higher level. Points? If they score the same amount of points, that's terrifying.
Because they'll probably score more points.
I don't know if they're going to score more points.
I bet they score more points.
Well,
I just want to say points.
They're going to score more points.
Did you watch at midnight? You watch at midnight here? You watch at midnight? So points. That's my Chris Hardwick.
Points.
I'm a big fan of @Nerdist.
Points.
That'd be so sweet. He actually mentioned me on Twitter once.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, I've got it favorited.
You are a liar.
I will prove it
and a half.
I will show you on my phone. It's on airplane mode because we're recording. I will show you after this podcast. Him and Camille and Johnny both.
No, they didn't.
We had a conversation about changing tires on Chris Hardwick's Jaguar. So, true story.
Okay,
true story. I'll retweet it again if you want me to.
That's going to wrap up First Down. Because we've talked about practice, and now we're talking about Billy lying about being favorited by Chris Hardwick.
I'm not lying. I'll pull it up in this commercial break.
All right. We'll be back in a flash. Purple Menace Podcast.
Red 78, watch 32, watch 32. Roll!
You wouldn't text while playing football.
Red, blue.
You wouldn't text while cheerleading. So why in the world do you think you can text while driving?
All right, and we're back. It's the Purple Menace Podcast. Jeff Craig, Billy Wessels, and now a special guest, a good buddy of mine. He used to be the producer of the Riff Ram Sports Show on 88.7 The Choice. He is a former TCU wide receiver, Mr. Phil Taylor. Phil, how you doing?
Doing good. Glad to be here talking with everyone. I don't think we've done anything since Riff Ram, Jeff. Talking podcasts, radio, anything like that. I figured, y'all fired me, y'all kicked me out or something. But they wouldn't let me, to be honest, Billy, they wouldn't let me talk in the mic. I just had to press buttons. Every time I got to speak in the microphone, it was a big deal.
Well, I think you've actually just been living in his backyard. That's why we're doing this out here. We had to come find you. You've just been kind of burrowing in Jeff's backyard.
Hey, Phil, I haven't done a lot of radio stuff with you, but I did get you another job.
You did. Yeah, the post-college, grad life is pretty tough. This whole real world thing is not as fun as everyone made it out to be.
Never graduate. If I could go back and do one thing, it'd be still be a TCU student.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could go back, Billy.
I could go back. You went back. You were like, 42 when you went back to school, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah, close enough.
Pretty much. Thanks for that. Okay, so, Phil, we got you here, and we wanted to know from the player's perspective. You're a guy that went through 4 of these camps. Fall camp, what is it really like for a freshman through your senior year? Just kind of walk us through what fall camp is like, because, spring camp, everybody's coming out there, they're fired up, they think they know where they're going to be, and then you have that summer off, and then that's kind of your self-motivating period, and then you get to fall camp, and that's when GP takes over. Tell us about that.
Well, you say you get summer off. That's not necessarily true. You have a 3-month period, or 2 months. Math is hard, but usually you're running and you're lifting. But whenever you do workouts, no coaches are allowed, so you're still with the guys. And when you're with the guys, you can kind of see, okay, so-and-so is making plays, or he's throwing the ball really well, or on defense, this guy's covering us. So we kind of have an idea going into camp of kind of where everyone's going to be on the totem pole of that kind of thing. But once you officially get there, I think the week before is probably one of the toughest weeks of the year, because you're just thinking about it. You're thinking, I got to go into this, and on average, it's sometimes 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks long. And I would say it's mostly mental, though, probably. Because you go in there and you get all your equipment, you get all your stuff, and you go to the first couple practices, you're in helmets and shorts. Slowly as you progress, you put pads on. The first day of pads, that's when it really hits people. You're like...
Literally?
It's on. Literally, yes. It's on now. And then it's going to be like that for the next 2.5 weeks. But it's a mental process. If you start thinking ahead... if you're in period 12 of the first practice and you're like, it's 107 degrees, you're on the field at another 10, it's about 117. I'm in full pads and sweating something ridiculous right now. I got to do this for the next, 15, 16 days. You beat yourself up. So really the only thing you can do is just keep going. Don't even think about it. Take it one period at a time, one day at a time. every chance you get to nap, you're out. I've seen people fall asleep in the most ridiculous places, including like on the benches in the weight room, like everywhere. These guys, any chance you get to take a nap, you take advantage of that. It's a kind of, looking back on it, it's a fun experience near the end of it though, because you can look back at this and say, I just went through this intense, for lack of a better word, almost boot camp with these guys, and now I'm real close with these guys. We just went through this incredible thing, and now I get a couple of days off, and now it's game week. And once you're at the season, that's fun. You pay the price during camps, you get to have fun during the season.
How tough are those 2-a-days? I mean, it's all everyone talks about. And it's like, oh, 2-a-days are here, 2 days here. But to really gear up for I know you said every practice one at a time, all that stuff. But 2 in one day, what does that do to you physically, mentally?
A lot. I tell people this. My first day of pads, I think this was my freshman year, my first camp. I went in there, and I think in 2.5 hours, I dropped 12 pounds.
Good Lord.
It was absolutely ridiculous. I think it was about 115, and I'm out there, I'm a receiver, and I'm running fly routes, And clearly I wasn't drinking enough. But I remember I weighed in like 195, walked out 183. Yeah. I'm like, that's not right. And I checked again. Yeah, it was the same thing. So physically, everyone gets worn down. It just happens. The only guys that don't get completely just banged up are the quarterbacks. But for the first couple of weeks or so, you're allowed to kind of just kill each other, just go after it. Then the coaches are really good about usually the last week you just mellow down, everyone kind of gets their legs back, get healthy. I went last week, and I was just talking with some of the guys after one of their camps, and I think everyone's got some type of bandage, brace, tape, everything. The athletic training looked like a military hospital. Just everyone's laying all over the place, except for like one guy, Derrick Kindred, because he was probably doing it to everyone. He was probably running around putting everyone on blast. But just big stuff like fingers get jammed up, you get blisters the size of quarters on your feet. Jeez. Just little things like that. From a physical standpoint, mentally, you're going through it, and I mean everyone kind of has the same thought process. You go to bed at night, you're like, why am I doing this? Like, what am I doing? I got to wake up at 6:45 and go do this all over again, do it again for the next 14 days.
Especially guys like you, walk-ons. You're doing
I'm
it for
paid,
free.
I'm
yeah,
paid
you
for
were
this.
paying.
Yeah, exactly. And everyone else starts kind of come back on campus around that too. Excuse me. Everyone comes back on campus around that time as well. So you have the frog camp people. Sorority rush happens right in our backyard. So we're trying to pay attention to one-on-ones. All of a sudden, there's this army of girls walking around. You're like, focus, guys, stay here, stay with me.
That's really why you came to TCU, wasn't it?
No, I will not confirm or deny information on a podcast. But yeah, just physically and mentally, kind of it just takes a toll. It's not the worst thing I've ever done. I won't say that, but it's up there. One of the hardest things I've probably ever done.
Yeah, and not just as a walk-on, but as a guy that didn't see a ton of playing time either. Knowing that you're not one of the starters, you're not one of the guys that you're not wearing their jersey because it's just a generic TCU jersey, but you're not one of the guys that everyone knows and talks about. Is that extra pressure? Is that extra motivation for you being out there? What does it do?
No, walk-ons welcome. If you're invited 2 days as a walk-on, that means you're in. Mm-hmm. The way it works, you get 105 guys for fall camp, and that includes every scholarship guy and maybe about 15 or 20 walk-ons. And then from there, you can expand to 130-man roster max during the season, so you add on a bunch of extra guys. But if you're a walk-on in the TCU program and they say, hey, you're invited to fall camp, you can choose not to go. If you don't go, they'll just give it to another walk-on. But if you go, you're in. You don't have to try out again. You don't have to go through a process. You got a locker. You've gone through all the NCAA requirements, so you'll dress for the first game, which is usually the big deal because for the most part, the first game's an FCS school that you just beat up on, a chance that you're going to get in that. So as a walk-on, when I heard that I went to camp, I was excited. I knew it was not going to be my most fun experience, but at the same time, it's like, I'm in. I don't have to go through that other process again.
So your first game, when that was against Samford, was that your first actual time getting on the field?
Yes. I finally was able to say I played against someone else with a different color jersey against Samford this year. And kind of a funny story about that is because we're up big, we're kind of blowing them out.
The crowd is chanting, Bill Taylor.
Yeah, I got Geoff has got everyone up there all chanting my name, all these Rudy references.
I think our other buddy Matt Jennings was doing that too.
Jennings was probably up there. Mattingly started it that easily. So I'm looking at the clock and I realize we're up big, so I'm gonna go grab my helmet and hang out by Coach Meacham and wait for him to give me the call. So I'm looking at the time, and there's about 8 minutes left. I'm thinking, I'll be all right. I'll get time. Now we're down to 4. Now we're down to 3, and I'm like, are we getting in this? Like, what's going on? And then little Des White runs out there, takes some snaps, and I think there was literally a minute left in the game, and I'm thinking, I'm not going to get out there. And no one knew that we were going to have this high-powered offense. So I'm thinking,
Right, you were thinking this was your
this is
chance.
my last chance to play this. So I looked at Coach. I was like, Meech! And he turned around, and I'm like, I pointed, let me get Dez! And he gave me this confused look, and he says, are you eligible? I'm like, yeah! And he looked at me and said, yeah, go, sure. So I sprint out there, pointing and yelling at Dez to come out. I line up, I block some dude. Actually, kind of a funny story, because the crowd was chanting, right? And everyone's going nuts, and I line up, I get the play, and the Samford linebacker, he looks at me, and he looks back at the ball, and under his breath he says, man, they love you. So, kind of funny story about that. But I was very happy as a walk-on whenever you get the chance. Like me especially, a guy that really had no stuck playing college ball, but I stuck around for 4 years. When you get those opportunities to go out there, it's really kind of special. Had my heart broken in 2012 against Grambling in our season opener. I thought I was going to get out there. Kind of same idea. Time was running out, and my receiver coach, Trey Haverty, who's now at Texas Tech coaching safeties, pulled me over and said, hey, you're going to get some reps. I'm like, awesome, let's go. So call the personnel. I'm like, okay, I'm in that one. So I'm running out. I take about 4 steps, and Jerry Anderson switches it to some jumbo package, and I get the whole, get your, back on the sideline, and just broke my heart. I thought I was going to come out there and get some reps, but it was...
So 2 years of more of this grind like we were talking about earlier. You went through 2 more camps of that before you got to get on the field. But happy ending. Phil did play against Samford. Then you played again against Texas Tech.
Texas Tech, yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Tech.
Everyone
played against
And
Tech,
if you
yeah.
if you watched that Texas Tech game, Phil loves this story.
Don't do it.
Phil lines up over in the slot on the right side, and I'm on the sideline with Billy and Matt. We're standing on the sideline, we're watching, and it's like, what was it, like 74 or
Million
something?
to something?
70. It was 75.
It was a lot
to
to
14.
a lot to it.
75 to 14. Phil's out there in the slot, and they've got big Travorce Johnson out there, and they run a draw play, and Phil goes out there and just destroys the corner, and Travorce takes it to the house to give us the 82 points. Right? I'm going nuts. I'm talking to Phil after the game, and I'm like, man, you killed that corner. And he goes, nah, man, no.
I said, I thought he was messing with me. And I said, no, like, you're a tool. Don't do this. See, what happened was...
From the side we were on,
it
looked like Phil had destroyed the corner.
And unfortunately, this is on television. You can watch this.
Find it.
I'm up there, and Bram Kohlhausen gives me an out route. And you got to remember, I was standing on the sideline for about 4 hours. So my legs are a little tight. I run out there. I take 4 steps, and I cut, and my foot just gives out. And so I take another step, and I'm going down. I'm thinking, dear Lord, do not throw this ball to me right now. But I'm rolling, but the corner's playing man. So in the rule is when you play man coverage is if your guy goes to the bathroom, you better make sure he washes his hands. Wherever he goes, you go. So he turns and he runs, and he realizes I fall down, and he looks up, and by that time, Travorce Johnson is gone, just booking it, big man. And I get up, and I run down there. I go celebrate, and I'm thinking, oh, no one saw that. Everyone saw it.
Everyone except for us on the other sideline.
Yep.
So the bone-crushing block was actually Phil planting, falling face first into the ground. The corner laughing because it's like, he fell.
I had a respectable volleyball roll. I got up and I went down. It didn't look that bad.
Hey, he scored the touchdown. That's all that matters.
yeah.
You were on the
Phil-
field. They ran to your side. He scored.
Yeah.
So.
Film that next day was real entertaining. Meacham rewinded it about 14 times. They thought it was the funniest thing they've ever seen.
All right, Phil, before we get you out of here, you wanted to make sure that we all knew that Doug Meacham is the greatest coach that you've ever played for, and that he doesn't get enough credit for what happens.
And that's not to knock Sonny Cumbie by any means. I think both of them, they're yin and yang. They literally just feed off of each other. Coach Cumbie's the super, we need energy. We need good vibes. Like, hey, enthusiasm. Let's go. And he's an outstanding quarterback coach. He took a part-time wide receiver and turned him into a Heisman contender. Just unbelievable quarterback coach. And then on the other side, you got Doug Meacham, who's the cuss you out, mother F you up and down the field, you screw up. But he's also one of the funniest coaches I've ever played for. He'll let you know when you do something well, and he'll for sure let you know when you do something wrong. And this is not to knock Sonny Cumbie. I feel like that people give him a lot of recognition, but Doug Meacham's the brainchild behind this offense. The guy is very, very good. They're both Mike Leach proteges. Both worked with him. But Cumbie's in the box, and Meach is on the sideline calling plays, signaling, and he sees different things. But I just wanted to give the guy some credit,
Everybody loves Cumbie because he's a ginger. That's why.
Yeah, that's got.
And he was the quarterback, and everyone's like,
Exactly.
the quarterback, the offense is doing great. It's got to be because of the quarterback. But yeah, Meacham and Philly has a big role in the team, and that's awesome to get a little more love his way.
And you look at his resume as well as from his Oklahoma State days. He blocked for some guy named Barry Sanders. May have heard of him.
Thurman Thomas.
You look at some of his former wide receivers at Oklahoma State.
Justin Blackman.
Dez Bryant, yeah. And then the stud Brandon, was it Josh Stewart? I believe
Josh Stewart,
the slot guy. So he knows what he's doing, very much so. And he means a lot to me as my position coach. In 4 years, I had 4 different coaches at the wide receiver position, and I finally fit into his offense. And he actually straight up told me, he said, "You know what? You're in the right place at the right time. You can block, and I really trust you with this offense. So if I get the chance to put you in, I got you. I'll let you close that game." That meant a lot to me. A walk-on who never expected to take a snap here. So I respect the guy, and I hope TCU keeps him for the next 20 years. And when Coach B's done, he'll take over. That's my hope. I hope he doesn't go anywhere.
Of course. And
I'd sign up for that right now, by the way. If you can guarantee he's going to be here for 20 years, that'd be sweet.
I don't want him to go anywhere.
And Meacham is a man of his word because Iowa State. Phil gets the
Senior day.
call. Senior day. Phil gets the call. He calls the play for Phil. It's the old 5-yard forward lateral toss sweep play that's basically a run. Phil, again, he's always got an excuse for why it didn't happen, but he should have turned the corner and scored on that play. But
yeah, and outran everyone else. I mean, my 5'11", 4'8", 40 time over here.
But he's got a catch in his record. He really did play. We didn't just make all this up. So, Phil, thanks for joining us. Thanks for giving us some insight on what being an actual Division I college football player is like. Because obviously I was not.
We've all had that dream.
We've all had that dream. Phil has lived it.
Well, I tell people, if you had told me all these things, that I'd play for 4 years, have 3 rings, and actually play in the Peach Bowl in Atlanta on New Year's, I would have just laughed at them. If I was a senior in high school and you told me that. So
a senior from Orange, California.
Yeah. I just tell people, don't let anyone tell you what you can't do. I had one person tell me to try out for college football, and that was my receiver coach who played college ball at TCU with LaDainian Tomlinson. He was the one guy that said, yeah, go for it. Everyone else said, just go, be a student, play intramurals, enjoy it. And I'm like, you know what? Nah, that's not good enough for me. So I just tell people, don't let someone tell you can't do anything, which is a cliche, but it's true. You put your mind to it, you set goals for yourself, and you can get it done.
Awesome. Phil Taylor, role model.
I'll be like you when I grow up, Phil.
Thanks, guys.
All right, man. We'll see you around. Phil Taylor, former TCU wide receiver. Phil now working for Fan Media. And before you get out of here, Phil, throw out your social media so people can find you. And if they've got any questions about Fan Media, they can shoot them your way.
I have not given out my Twitter in so long, but it is Philly_Phil35. Philly_Phil35. The dog approves.
The dog approves. All right, Phil. We'll be back. We're going to talk a little bit about some recruiting, everybody's favorite thing, here on the PurpleMenace.com podcast.
5 million Americans are living with Alzheimer's disease, and another 16 million husbands, wives, children, and friends are caregivers. But the right foods may help you prevent it. Vegetables, fruits, whole grains, beans, the same foods that fight diabetes and heart disease can also keep your brain strong and memory sharp. Let's eat right to fight Alzheimer's. Visit eattofightalzheimers.org.
All right, welcome back to the PurpleMenace.com podcast. Geoff Craig and Billy Wessels. You just heard from my buddy Phil Taylor telling you a little bit about what it's like to be a football player. And, he was a walk-on, so the recruiting process for him wasn't exactly the same. For TCU, over the years, recruiting, Patterson's always been a guy that's focused. He's always going for guys that fit the system and guys he likes, but it's always been those 2s and the occasional 3s, and now we're seeing more 4s. We're filling up with 3s, but we're getting the occasional 4s, and we're getting guys that are big-time recruits now that are coming in here, giving early commitments, and not just giving early commitments, sticking with them. One of those guys, another quarterback, Brendan Wooten.
Because, we need more quarterbacks. We need only one football. It gives all the quarterbacks. No, but for real, this was back. He committed a long time ago.
Before all this happened.
July 14. I remember I was actually in Chicago last summer when he committed. I was like, all right, I'm going on vacation. Haven't left the state in forever. Nothing's going to happen. It's last week of July. My birthday's in like 3 days. I'm going to go somewhere, hang out. I'm at a freaking Cubs game, and suddenly my phone explodes. Oh, hey, we got a big-time commit. Oh, great. No, Brendan Wooten, awesome kid. I mean, San Angelo, Central Texas. He's just an absolute slinger. Throw the ball all up and down the field. Incredible athlete. I saw him at a camp last year up at TCU last summer, one of those Friday Night Light thing, and he was hands down the best quarterback out there. Like, it wasn't close. He's so impressive to watch. He's a 6'1", 175, tall, kind of gangly. Definitely needs to grow a little bit, but you see these guys, I mean, they get in the college program, they just bulk up overnight. It seems like they'll gain 20 pounds. But he's great in high school, just throwing the ball into the field. It's kind of an offense that really fits him.
Is he a mobile guy, or is he more
He's
of a...
pretty mobile. I mean, for just a gangly white guy, he's pretty mobile, but he can move if he has to. I mean, I guess Andy Dalton was kind of mobile. Casey Paul was kind of mobile in the TCU offense. He'll be fine. He can move around a little bit. But the big thing, he can just chunk it all the way up and down the field. Doesn't matter. Great little field general, too. Kind of got that vibe from him that he kind of very accurate, knows where the ball's going every time, and they love him. I mean, they can't say anything about these guys, but coaches have kind of raved about him at the camp. Like, man, he's clearly the best guy out here. Like, it's not even close, hands down. So I love watching that guy play. He's gonna be exciting. He's gonna be an exciting addition to this class. It's gonna be interesting next year when you have him, and basically you're getting Kenny Hill in here.
Yep.
Then you got Foster Sawyer, Grayson Muhlstein. I think this Bram a senior.
Bram's a senior.
Yeah, so you don't have to worry about him.
You're going to lose Boykin and Kohlhausen.
Yeah,
so probably your starter and your backup, but you're going to have another 4 or 5
four guys that can play in some way, shape, or form. And of course, Zach Allen's still hanging out. So, but yeah, I think it's fun. It's a fun time to be a quarterback. And also, speaking of quarterbacks, I know we're talking about a running back here in a second, but a 2017 guy, Sean Robinson, is on the front page of PurpleMenace.com right now. 2017 4-star quarterback commit. He's in the Rivals 100. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the nation for 2017.
He was a
huge commit, like a huge steal. It's not. I mean, honestly, it could wind up being the biggest recruit. I mean, who knows what's going to happen next week as far as where the recruiting can go from there. But he could become one of the best recruits in TCU history, like as far as biggest names and biggest profile guys if he sticks with it. He's just an absolute monster. He is a super dual threat guy. He's listed, the number 2 quarterback in the nation for the 2017 class by Rivals.com. This is pretty solid, pretty high praise right there. So there's your quarterback looking real bright for the next 5, 6 years, 7 years.
Yeah, and so Wooten and Robinson, that's going to be nice because we don't know what's going to happen next year. Sawyer, Hill, but then you've got Wooten coming in, and then the following year when those guys are seniors and juniors, it's just now that it looks like probably every year they're going to have that guy.
Yeah, it's going to be a quarterback that's going to kind of become here at TCU, especially if we do have Meacham here for 20 more years, as Phil predicted. I think I can see that being the case for the next 24 years, I guess, if he's still around.
Well, I'd like for it to become running back U as well.
Yeah.
We've got a couple of good ones now.
Win every game. You would be pretty sweet too.
Yeah. 2 years ago, we had Kyle Hicks decommit from UT and come to TCU, and then last year it was Varshawn Nixon, who decommitted from A&M and came to TCU. Yep. We're not having to worry about decommits yet, but another good running back, junior college, Travion Williams.
High school guy.
Oh, he's a high school guy.
Yeah, from Houston King, yeah. Travion Williams, a big name. We kind of knew, they kind of hinted at it at last year's signing day press conference that this is going to be a big year as far as TCU recruiting running backs. So they've got room for one more guy right now. Since they're moving Siwo because he plays some running back in high school, they're moving him to the defense side of the ball. So they got room for another guy. Right now, Travion Williams is the big man, Houston area guy. They're getting a lot of guys from Houston. That's kind of become a little watering hole. I don't know what the pipeline, I guess, to TCU is from Houston. Those guys, then Courtney Lark, we talked about him last week. He's from the Houston area. Manville is near that part of the country. So this is just kind of a great time to be from Houston. Obviously, a great time to be a TCU commit and look at this.
It
But
helps
Draymond
when you've had guys from the area, like you said. You've got your guys from Copper's Cove back in the day with the Brock brothers, and then you also the most recent Houston pair was Deontay Gray and BJ Catalon. I mean,
all right.
They're going back home every year and telling all their buddies and the younger kids like TCU's where you want to go, and so.
Yeah, Williams actually was down to TCU in Houston when he committed a couple months ago. So, I mean, he had TCU, Texas A&M, and Houston gear all on his table when he chose to commit back in May. But it was apparently the night before he was debating between TCU and Houston. That's kind of a weird. You wouldn't have guessed 4 years ago that if you're a kid in Texas and you're, oh man, my top four is Texas A&M, Houston, and TCU. Which of these two am I going to be fighting over? It shows you a lot about where this game's going. But Williams, great steal for this player. I don't want to say a steal, but 5'9", $190. Dude can run. Dude's very agile. Good lateral mover if he can make that cut. Ranked number 9 as far as running backs go for this class. 47th overall player in the state of Texas, so it's pretty solid. High praise there for how good Texas is.
Yeah. All right, you had one more that you wanted to throw out there.
Yeah, again, not a commit here, but this is still big news for us regarding TCU. Stephen Sullivan, 4-star wide receiver 2016 class, was a big-time LSU commit from Donaldsonville, which is in that LSU. It's in Louisiana. You assume a kid gets to Louisiana, gets 4 stars. He's going to LSU. It's going to be tough to get him out of there. Kid just decommitted from LSU yesterday. So now he's got LSU, Auburn, and TCU in his top 3 right now. And TCU's kind of been in his mind a lot lately. He's been on campus several times this spring and this summer. I do like the Frogs in this one, especially if the offense plays well. I like the Frogs and stealing this guy too from SEC Power.
I love it. I love it. All right, so that's going to wrap up our recruiting segment. If you want to know more about recruiting, purplemenace.com. It's the TCU Rivals Yahoo website. Lots of great stuff on there. Get on there. I think it comes out to like $8.33 a month if you do the yearly package. Yeah. So it's a steal of a deal, and you get to listen to us more, and it helps us want to keep doing this.
Yeah.
So, Billy's on there writing. Our buddy Matt Jennings writes on there. Trey Fallon writes on there. I'll be doing some stuff during the season. I'll be doing some stuff too. So you're going to have all your bases covered.
#squad.
Too cold you.
Yep.
So purplemenace.com. All right, when we come back, we're going to do a quick recap of some guys. It's preseason in the NFL, so we want to let you know what's been going on with some recent frogs that are now frogs in the pros. Coming up next on the Purple Menace podcast.
Multiple sclerosis destroys connection, so it's only fitting that connection would be its greatest enemy, because connection takes away MS's ability to isolate, and as more connections form, we end up with more knowledge, more resources, more understanding, more ideas, and more hope. And then, the connections we make become more powerful than the connections MS destroys. MS kills connection. Connection kills MS. Give what you know at msconnection.org.
All right, welcome back to the purplemenace.com podcast. Jeff Craig, Billy Wessels. It's 4th down. We've elected not to punt. We are going to go for it. And we're going to talk about frogs in the pros.
I have a go for pun real quick.
Okay.
Go for it pun. I thought of this the other day. If Minnesota doesn't go for it every time on 4th down, they're probably not going to beat TCU because they're the Gophers. I don't get why they ever punt. They shouldn't have punters. They should just go for it every time.
Oh,
I thought of the other day. It made me laugh so hard, and I'm gonna tweet it out several times during that game.
This is why
they should go for it.
This is why I'm buying a mixer so I can put in drops because there would be cricket noises playing in the background right now.
Well warranted. I'll admit.
What? In post production, I'm gonna insert cricket noises anyway.
Hey, you should.
So, God, Billy, really go for it every time.
They should just go for it every time.
Oh, it's so bad.
But they're gonna have to keep it with TCU. And our apparently secret weapon, Aaron Green, according to Bleacher Report. I just was on Bleacher Report watching the touchdown that our good buddy blocked so well on earlier. I was watching the highlight of that play. And it's like every college football playoff contender's secret weapon in 2015, and TCU's is apparently Aaron Green.
He's the secret weapon?
He's the secret weapon, the starting running back.
Right.
Bleacher Report did an awful lot of digging there.
With the 900 yards rushing last year? Mm-hmm. I guess they didn't watch the Peach Bowl.
No. I mean, UCLA, for UCLA, apparently UCLA is a contender, by the way, and their true freshman quarterback, Josh Rosen, who was probably very highly rated, but Something about quarterbacks when they go to California just don't pan out well. I don't know what it is. It's kind
Unless
of
they
weird.
go to Oregon.
Well, Oregon's also not in California. So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was thinking
fun
Pac-12.
geography fact.
You mean it's not Northern California?
No, sure is.
I was half paying attention to what you're saying. I just associated UCLA Pac-12. This has been good.
This is fun. This is a good
good.
show.
Okay, Frogs in the Pros. Paul Dawson. The dude
Killing
was the
it.
best interview ever
Oh my gosh.
last year.
Yep.
I'm going to miss that. Cincinnati media is going to love it
They
if he
sure
ever
are.
gets to talk. But Paul Dawson, a lot of people, bad pro day, didn't run well at the combine. He told everybody, I'm not a sprinter, I'm a football player. Go back and watch that first preseason game or read some of the Cincinnati news sports guys talking about Paul Dawson, and they'll tell you Cincinnati got a steal of a deal. This guy was first-round talent. The plays he makes on the field he's just so instinctual. He's going to be a monster. He's my pick for Defensive Rookie of the Year. I'm calling it now.
Wow.
Paul Dawson is going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I just pulled up another article here looking at this, and someone's saying he's going to lead the Bengals in tackles this year, which is going to say something because they've got that guy named Vontez Burfict, which is a sweet name, by the way. Burfict?
Vontez.
Vontez Burfict.
Yeah, and he was a monster too.
Yeah, absolutely.
They've got some playmakers
Yeah,
on
and
that defense.
they like obviously Ray Malaluga was pretty solid. Some guy named Emmanuel Lemur, I don't know who that is, but apparently he's pretty good. But Paul Dawson's apparently making waves over there in Cincinnati. It's awesome, great to hear. And he was an interesting character. He said some interesting things, but he always had, was it oranges? Is that what he always ate at post-game press conference? He always had his oranges
He'd be
out
peeling
there.
those oranges
Yeah,
while
peeling
we're sitting
oranges
there
in the
sticking
middle.
microphones
Of
in
course,
his
like
face.
the 2 times we got to talk to him. But yeah, that Oklahoma play last year, just so everyone in the press box just like inhaled at once when he picked off that pass and was clearly going to house it. Like it was just took everyone's breath away.
He looked like a wide receiver.
Hey, sure, why not?
Looked
It worked.
like a wide
I mean,
receiver.
Helton was thrown right at him, but yeah. And the fair thing, he was supposed to blitz on that play, and he dropped back. Yeah.
He read the quarterback's
so
eyes.
so instinctual. I mean, that's what we're talking about.
Another guy from last year's team, a guy that didn't have a good pro day, didn't perform well at the combine. He hamstring injury slowed him down. He was not a big, fast, strong guy anyway. Kevin White. If you talk to guys on this team, they tell you how much of a locker room guy he was. Phil was telling me a little bit about K. White that I didn't know. Apparently, he's a weight room monster. Benches like 385 and squats 550. He's a 5'10", 170-pound cornerback. Well, the Falcons liked him enough to pick him up as a
your
free agent.
size?
Yes.
Yeah, that's how big
Right.
you are. Yeah.
Kevin White is the same size as me. He benches 385 and squats 550. But he was out there in the first preseason game for the Falcons, taking reps at nickel corner. And when they drafted him when he didn't get drafted, it was because teams didn't think he was fast enough to play in the slot in the nickel. Falcons obviously are like, no, he's got this.
We'll give it a shot.
So Kevin White out there making moves, and he's out there with another former Frog, Stanley Maponga, on the Falcons defense. I know that makes Matt Jennings, our Atlanta.
He loves it.
Atlanta boy, yeah, he's loving having K. White and Maponga out there. And then Jason Verrett, he was a rookie last year. He was banged up coming off the shoulder surgery for the Chargers. He looks like he's going to be just an absolute dominant corner out there for the Chargers. They love him. He played a little bit in the Cowboys-Chargers game, but we know what to expect from Jason Verrett, and now the San Diego media knows the same thing. So fantastic things coming from Paul Dawson, Kevin White, Jason Verrett. And then sad news, David Porter got cut by the Denver Broncos. He'd gone in there. The Broncos are stacked at wide receiver, so he had slim chance of making the team, but he got cut by the Broncos, and it looked like, maybe his dream of playing in the NFL was going to be over. And then the Dallas Cowboys came to the rescue and picked up David Porter. They cut a guy who they had given like a $200,000 signing bonus as a free agent to come in here and play. So they obviously think more of what they've seen from David Porter in Broncos camp and while he was at TCU than what they thought of Farmer. So good luck to DP3 out there with the Frogs.
Yeah, again, I was still blown away. Like, we obviously love David Porter. He was the guy that caught the last pass of the pregame scrimmage or whatever you want to call it before the season, every game. They throw that lob in the end zone. He caught it every time. Obviously, it was always fun to watch. He did the best. I like those guys got the best hands on the team, and I mean Dotson might disagree, but whatever. They're all incredible guys, but really good leader for the team last year, and he blew everybody away at senior day, rubbing a sub 4.40. Like, where did that come from? Like, we always figured he was the hands guy. Maybe run like a 4.5, 4.6, and then senior day, boom, sub 4.4. I mean, Cowboys. I mean, why not? You got Des Bryant and nothing else, so. I guess you got
Terrence Williams, who's a speed guy.
Isn't he a Baylor guy, though?
Yeah.
I know what I said. And Colby's an SMU guy.
I get it.
I know what I said. Yeah. But David Porter, why not? Give him a shot.
Give him a shot. All right, that's going to wrap up the Purple Menace podcast for this week. We hope you enjoyed it. Thanks to our good buddy, Phil Taylor. Make sure you find him on Twitter. It's at Philly_Phil35. He's not from Philly. He's from Orange County. I think they just call him Philly.
I think he just doesn't know geography. Kind of like you don't know geography.
Right, because I thought Oregon was actually in California. Well, again, we did get degrees in sports broadcasting.
No, we did not.
We got degrees in sports broadcasting for a reason.
Yep.
All right, so check out purplemenace.com for all your recruiting and TCU news. I'm Jeffrey Craig at GEOFFREY_CRAIG, and Billy Wessels.
At Billy Wessels, real original, I know, everybody. BILLYWESSELS, real clever. TCU_rivals. Also on the Twitter, you'll see some snark. You'll see some inspiration. I don't know what you'll see. Who knows what tomorrow may bring. I tweeted about the weather the other day, so you never know.
I tweet about a lot of sports-related stuff, and then
and UFC, apparently. I didn't know you were so much into UFC.
I write for a UFC or an MMA website as well.
You cheating on me?
But it's mixed martial arts, so it's not technically cheating.
I mean,
it's just my side piece.
That's so many cheating jokes I could make, but I'm choosing not to touch any of them. So,
well, you did see my wife in her underwear earlier, so.
Yep. So that's the podcast.
That's the podcast.
I'm about to go back through your kitchen, by the way. Is that gonna be weird?
No, it's cool.
All right, cool.
We'll grab a snack on the way out. All right.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Make sure you check out purplemenace.com. Find us on Twitter. Give us a follow. Tell your friends about it. If you like the podcast, definitely tell your friends about it. If you don't like the podcast, tell your friends about it. Tell them to tweet at us anyway, because we'd like to see what we can do to make it better. That's going to do it. We'll see you next Tuesday. purplemenace.com.